2 for felonious belysning.
You are not broken.
You are out of balance.
And there is a path home.
This is for felonious belysning,
From the Alaska ulfhednar.
ancestral morning light for those
who have been through hell.
and are still standing.
This nonprofit has a sliding scale guidance
At alaskaulfhednar.org/guidance.
for felonious belly snake.
Begins now.
Every day, someone's little girl, daughter, sister, girlfriend, fiance, wife, cousin, mother, auntie, grandmother, great grandmother, elder disappears, shattering a family, a community, the world. There is something we can all do. Remember them.
Out now. On our website, you can download the Rewriting Your Emotional Recipes. So check it out. Link author.akoutlaw.com. $16.99. Ebook. Take it wherever. Use the practices. God Morgan, and happy Wootens Day to you. It's also the last day for many of us for the work week, and so getting excited, hopefully, about being thankful, feasting, filling our bodies with food and our brains with football, American football, for those of you from the old countries, American football. Okay, so today I want to talk about gaining the understanding of kin and family, and thankfulness for that family and that connection, that just collective energy that we can ascertain from our ancestors, whether they be alive or not. As always, I want to give each show, we say thank you to all of you who have liked, followed, and subscribed. For those of you who are listening on the kwwp.org radio station this morning, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you all of you who are jumping in. I'm already seeing chats. So thank you so much for joining us this morning. This morning I want to talk about kin and certainly the power, which brings me to my last thank, and that is for New Reality TV. As kin of mine, newrealitytv.com brings a plethora of spiritual perspectives that can help us along our journey. Inevitably, we will find something there that can resonate within each of us and help us to provide that next evolutionary step for us. So do check them out, newrealitytv.com. Today's show brought to you by Trinity Road's websites. Thank you so much for all of those folks there at Trinity Road. Every hall, every clan, every warrior band needs its longhouse, a place where voices gather and stories endure. Trinity Road websites builds that hall out there in the internet, where your message stands strong against the winds of time. So check them out, as well as all of our other affiliates at akumedia.akoutlaw.com/sponsors. So be sure to check those out. As I mentioned before we got to live screen, the book is out. The ebook, the first of many ebooks, is out, and it's available on our website. You can download it, purchase it, and download it. Check it out. It's not only knowledge about how to rewrite your emotional recipes, but it's also a workbook that you can work through and recognize some of these values yourself. A wonderful tool to use to help us understand how we think, how we feel, how that builds together to make us who we are. So today we're talking about the kin. We're talking about the family, whether it be in physical form or not, especially leading up till tomorrow, of course, being the day of Thanksgiving celebrated in the United States and many other places. And this meal represents, obviously, a plethora of things. To me, it's a feast, and it represents the harvest. It represents kind of the winter solstice, getting prepared, kind of finishing off. Well, we're well beyond the harvest, but we're getting into winter, and so kind of celebrating that hearth and that. But one of the big things that we find during this, well, particularly now these holidays leading up to the new year, is kin. We have family coming out of the woodworks. Many of times they're coming and visiting, particularly for those of us who live in Alaska. Now's the time that people are wanting to come visit, or wanting you to go visit, in which case it's getting out of the cold and back into the warm a little bit. So all kinds of, but it's a family unity that we're actually looking at and we're embracing, right? We're embracing the recognition and the belonging, right? Because we belong to a clan or a family. And this sense of belonging, this longing to be a part of something other than just ourselves, is a rudimentary, bare bones, bargain basement need of human existence. It's all part and parcel of who we are. And this has led, unfortunately, this idea of belonging and the seeking of that belonging has led many to surrender other potentially critical values within their lives to obtain belonging, whether that belonging be harmful or not, right? So whether it be with a relationship that may not be beneficial, whether it be with a social group that's questionable, sketchy, if you will. All of these things, I for a long time, many years back now, but I attempted to do this, and I attempted to feel a part of something. One of my boys was serving in the military at the time, and I had obviously served in the military as well, and so I felt this longing to be a part of that. I work with many individuals who are returning to civilian life after a tours of duty, serving the military, both the United States and several other countries. And it's probably the most frequently identified scenario of stress causation is the separation of that belonging. So we're part of this very tight-knit group for a very long time, depending on how long you've served. But a day in the military is worth like 9 in civilian world. So, but it's a tight bond. It's a belonging. And then, of course, when we leave the military, that the military's tight bonding and the civilian world's tight bonding are very, very different. Very different, okay? So many of my friends and family who have left the military find themselves in the civilian world, find themselves struggling for the reobtainment of this belonging, of being part of something. So it's inherent within our ecosystem here that we belong, that we have this demand, desire to belong, to be a part of something. And that's a very, very powerful draw. And some people will literally go to the ends of the earth to reobtain that sense of belonging. And, relationships, while some individuals who have returned home from the military get now with, potential spouses or partners and whatnot, and they just are unable to rekindle the level of belonging they had while they were in the military. And this causes a lot of stress. It causes a lot of anxiety, very much amplified from this idea that during the holidays and as an example, today my shield maiden is kind of plotting out how to put together the timeline for the meal and what's going to be prepared, and because we have certain individuals who will eat this and won't eat that, and so she's kind of, and it's adding a level of stress obviously to her as she prepares to kind of time everything out so that we can sit and feast at a certain time. Individuals, as you may or may not know, Shield Maiden, 50 some year, 50, I don't know, quite a bit, long time, you're type 1 diabetic. And so she has to have, to maintain some level of control, she's going to eat at certain times, she's going to, so she's got to have things prepared and kind of this order. And so there's this rise in stress. Now, that stress that my shield maiden is feeling is certainly real and really tangible. And I remind her that one of our sons, of course, being former military, former active duty military, is now home, is a civilian now, and he too has gone through a struggle. And so it kind of always helps me to see those two differences, because while the stress of putting together the schedule and the meal and that thing is very high, individuals who are, like I say, returning from civilian life, from the military, they're trying to replace now the level of belonging that they had while they were in the military. They're trying to replace that in civilian life, and it's very, very stressful for them too. Now, the question is, how do you solve that? Well, when we're going to, here in a few minutes, we'll take a break and then we'll come back and we're going to talk to you about exactly that, is how do we address this need, this demand to belong, when the tightness, the bonds that we had are no longer there, i.e. In the military, and this goes for certain social circles as well. I've worked with individuals in the past who may have been part of a social organization that was very tight knit. They were really close, and when they left that organization, it causes that separation anxiety. And so really recognizing that and doing programming things into our lives to help us to adjust for that, to kind of move up a few levers, move down a few other levers. We're kind of adjusting the mixer of our lives to then kind of find a similar mentality, a similar way to belong. One of the things I have to admit is in my own life, when I was a young man, my parents, my father particularly, wouldn't let us associate with our ancestry. He wanted to essentially eliminate that, make us more this vanilla kind of traveling Wilbury kind of thing. And so there was a separation between us and our ancestry and our culture and our heritage that existed up until the time, I certainly went in the military. When I joined the military, it was by crook. I was pardoned from a jail sentence and allowed to enlist in the military. I enlisted in the military, struggled immensely in the military just because of some other issues. At the time, I was a user of heroin and cocaine. And then, again, though, the bonds that are formed in the military were then fractured when I left, when I was discharged and returned home. And I sought that. That was high stress for me, right? Because I had built some friendships and some camaraderie, some brotherhoods, and now here I was in a civilian where that level of brotherhood just doesn't exist, or didn't exist to my knowledge. So I did silly things trying to gain traction back there, and never really worked out. But we're going to talk a little bit here in just a few minutes about how you can replace this idea of belonging and kind of what our society does to separate us and kind of isolate us away from this brotherhood that does exist. And once you find it, you know you can't lose it. You can't give it up. So it's actually a really good thing. And so we'll talk about it here in just a minute. But before we do, we need to ask the question without a shoelace. We need to ask the question. Oh, what is some wonderful news about today? What is some information that we may take away and learn from today? And so today's rune will be Wunjo. Wunjo, of course, used when translating to English would be your W and or your V. So Wunjo. Wunjo is the is really the rune of accomplishment. It's the rune of prosperity. It's the rune of fellowship, harmony, and joy. And so I think it's very fitting today that we really embrace Wunjo, and we embrace this idea that we are truly part of a much larger system, much larger existence that I think can provide for us many things that we fail to most oftenly overlook. But today we're thinking about accomplishments. We're thinking about being thankful, and again going into the Thanksgiving holiday, just being thankful for those accomplishments. We were able to accomplish a great deal of things, even to the point of arriving here on this page and visiting with me, listening to me this morning. I very much appreciate it. But again, importantly enough, you've found your way, and you are finding your way to maybe to recovery, to growth, to learning a new path. All of these things, many can't, haven't, won't accomplish. So you've accomplished quite a bit. And even though we may say sometimes we hold ourselves to these other bars and we say, oh, I may be okay, but I'm not as good as that person over there. Well, yeah, you are. You're a much better you than you are a them. And it's something you really got to give yourself credit for. You're doing a fabulous job. You are doing an excellent job at being you, and I am so glad that you're doing it. And I'm so glad that you're willing to grow, learn, love, and move on. So I am so thankful. All right, my friends, I need to take a very quick commercial break. When we come back, I want to talk about putting the rubber on the road, talking about for those of you who are suffering from that separation anxiety, how to kind of re-engage some some of the unseen and actually make that happen for you. So, with no further ado, real quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
Feed the four-footed brew right. Zeal Pet Foods keeps ingredients honest and energy steady. Check out all their options and all the links in our webpage at sponsors.
It's happening.
It's in the air. The time is now.
We're all waking up.
We're waking up.
We're all waking up.
It's all shifting.
New vibrations.
It's you.
It's you.
It's me. It's all of us.
Together.
A new time.
A new day.
A new energy.
A new energy.
New reality.
Awaken with us.
Awaken with us.
Awaken with us.
NewRealityTV.com.
Level up your language in minutes a day. TalkPal AI gives instant feedback and real practice. Try it and try the link in our description.
These words are stirring something heavy in you. You don't have to carry it alone. Sliding Scale Spiritual Guidance with sessions outside normal business hours is available through the Alaska ulfhednar. Visit akulfhednar.org/guidance to book a free discovery session.
Just a reminder, my book, Rewriting Your Emotional Recipes, 7-step thought process, breaks it down step by step so you can see where the influences are occurring in your life. It also gives you worksheets and a whole section dedicated to the forge and figuring out exactly what makes you tick, and most importantly, how you can adjust yourself to meet your desires. So do check it out. You can download the book, purchase and download the book at author.akoutlaw.com. Alrighty then, welcome back. Thank you for taking that quick break with us. And again, check out the book. A wonderful opportunity. Very happy, very proud of it, by the way, if you haven't noticed. But it's a wonderful opportunity to relook at the way you interpret the world around you, and certainly understanding how your brain and some of the influences that we face every minute of every day affects that. So check it out. It's available, as I said, for purchase and download on the website author.akoutlaw.com. Okay. We've talked about separation. We've talked about that separation anxiety. We've talked about the need for belonging, being part of. Well, one of the things that I've discovered in my own personal life is that while being part of a social club or being part of the military, being part of a tight-knit group is really exciting, and it's most often very rewarding, there is another part that you are a part of. Whether we choose to acknowledge it or not, is our family, is our kin, right? And so, in many times we talk about family feuds and disagreements and whatnot, but what we have to remember is that this is our family, this is our kin. Now, having said that, one of the greatest gifts that I've been given was this knowing that in the spiritual realm, outside of our physical existence, in the spiritual realm, bloodlines, i.e. our direct ancestors or direct descendants really has no, or it has a very limited, I should say, a very limited requirement or a part in the interpretation of all that we are. So, understanding that the ancestors who have gone before us and have passed on are now willing to be a part of our lives, to be a part of every minute of our lives, whether that be through moments of just peaceful kind of reconciliation, or whether it be during our dreams, whether it be daydreams, whatever it is, they're willing and wanting to be a part of our lives. One of the keys that really clued me in on this was, have you ever seen large, and I'm going to use, I have a bunch of friends who are Hispanic, of Mexican orient, and they're down in Arizona, and I love them dearly. Thank you so much. I hope you're listening. But one of the things I always loved about being with them was their family, and how the youngest generations always respected the elders, and everyone was tight knit. And the kids, the kids that I ran with at the time, were happier because they were a part of this larger group. They were part of this family. And certainly, as society has moved on, we've really tried to vanilla all this and try to push it over there, and here's main business stream, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, no. It is this family connection that certainly my Hispanic friends, a group that I spent quite a bit of time with was the Navajo people. And again, the same mentality of, respecting the elders, taking care. It was a family. We looked after each other. Even if you had that really, really annoying cousin, they were still family. And family was first. So when we think about leaving the military and we've lost what we think we've lost, is this sense of connection, of belonging to something bigger, right? Well, supplant in your mind your family, both physical and spiritual, in place of. Look at your family in its entirety. Think about your ancestors. Think about where you come from, right? In my case, I investigated, and I have done all types of investigation and learning about BRB zone in the Jutland of Denmark. I've learned all about Waterford County in Southern Ireland. I've learned about these places. Why? Not because, I'm into geography, which I'm not. It's because I want to be a part of that family. That family of ancestors who came from those places. And in my in my ancestral line, third generation, Waterford and BRB zone. So by embracing these ancestors in my personal life, I'm actually supplanting the same feeling I had in the military, of that sense of belonging, of being part of something larger. So think about that the next time you're feeling kind of bummed out that you're no longer part of the military, or that things are very different. And trust me, I understand that. Think about it in a way that says, okay, I left that group, and now I'm searching and finding and being part of and replacing that feeling of belonging with my family, being a part of that family. changing perspectives. All right? So hopefully that'll get you where you need to be as far as your sense of belonging. So I encourage you to check that out. All right. So as you may remember, today's rune, of course, Wunjo. And Wunjo, of course, being the rune of prosperity, accomplishment, fellowship, harmony, and certainly joy. All of those things come with prosperity and accomplishment. Today's show brought to you again by Trinity Road Websites. Thank you so much for sponsoring today's show and all of our affiliates as we get ready for Thanksgiving and that sense of belonging, that sense of being part of something much bigger than ourselves. And remember, the generosity, if you have friends and family, bring them over for a meal. You won't be disappointed. So open your doors, open your heart, change your perspective, and embrace your ancestors. That's how they did it, and they were happy. All right, my friends, I wish you the very best of Wootens Day today. Remember, tonight there is no Sporks Mall, so we will continue to answer questions next week. So continue to send them in. Make sure you're sending in your question. Remember, you can win a free t-shirt, so check that out. You can find that at akulfhednar.org. All the way at the bottom, big orange button. Hit that button and we'll get the question in the queue. And if I make a show about it, we'll send you a free shirt. So do check that out. In the meantime, check out the book. It's on my website, author.akoutlaw.com. You can purchase it, download it, start working through it. Work through it at your own pace. Figure out what works for you. All right? It'll be there for you, so be sure to check that out. All right, my friends, have a wonderful Wootens Day. And for those of you who don't see me tomorrow, by all means, have a wonderful Thanksgiving. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. Love and light, my friends.
Fulfilling us. Una. Hjälp oss med. Magnify. Tu för åg. Kaliot.
If what we've touched today hits something raw for you, you don't have to carry it alone. We offer a sliding scale spiritual guidance with sessions outside normal business hours. Visit akulfhednar.org/guidance to book a free discovery session.